Alts is a powerful and important part for financial advisors, but how and where it fits and what it means to you can be difficult. We got the man to help us here, Devon Drew. Devon, tell me, alts. This is something advisors know they need, but fitting it in can be rather cumbersome for most advisors, right?
Yeah, when you think about the need for alts, right, it kind of goes back to the incline and retiring with dignity, right? It's becoming ever challenging for the overall allocation to really adjust from the need of alternatives, right? The head of alternatives from Morgan Stanley just said she calls for a 25% allocation to alts.
25%?
25%.
Wow.
But then the average advisor allocation is 3%, right? So how do you go from 3 to 25 in a sustainable way, right? And I think that's a problem that we're all facing. And realistically, right, you probably go from 3 to 5, and it'll take some years to go to 10, but how do you do it in an efficient way? Right, and that's where it's like when you start thinking about AssetLink as a client relationship intelligence tool, really leveraging AI to know your clients better, right, to see who is suitable for alts, you start undressing the issues, right? Who's a qualified purchaser? What is a qualified purchaser? Who's a qualified client, right? Do you have $5 million? Do you have $2 million? Do you have the accredited investor standpoint, right? So all of that goes into the decision making when you're increasing your allocations to alts, right? And that's where, we're very fortunate to be at Edge, where we're going to be able to be speaking about it tomorrow on stage.
It's fascinating because most advisors have a mindset of 60-40. This is something they can understand.
Right.
Now, where does this 25% or even 3 or 5% fit in that 60-40? That's overwhelming for most advisors even to fathom.
When you start thinking about, okay, Morningstar style boxes, large growth, large value, large blend, and all of a sudden you have venture capital, private equity, private credit, real estate, interval funds, where does it all fit, and how does that skew your overall allocation for clients? And I think that's very concerning for a lot of advisors. Right. And a lot of folks, when you're questioned about it, you have to educate yourself first, right? So going from an education standpoint, but then you need all the bells and whistles and the plumbing to be able to make it happen, right? It's not like it's not like you could buy a illiquid private credit fund by just hitting a button like an ETF, right? So there's a lot of intricacies in increasing your allocation, even having an allocation to begin with.
And let's take it one step further. All of your clients aren't the same. All their needs aren't the same. So though 25% may be ideal, 3% may be the reality. It might be 5% for this client, 8%.
Right.
How do you create customization without driving yourself crazy, tailoring a unique solution for every client?
I think what's going to end up happening, and I could be wrong, but I think this is the direction we're going, and you're starting to see the Blackstones of the world and the iCapitals and case starting offering model portfolios for alternatives, right? So being able to put in something similar like your risk tolerance, your overall risk tolerance, and then have different variations of model portfolios. That's going to give you that 10 flavors of alternatives to really hit that allocation budget, but you're going to do it in a risk-controlled way.
And that's the whole thing. Have a defined number of flavors of ice cream, not just, hey, we're mixing things up like Cold Stone Creamery, so every single thing is tailored like that. You have to have a defined process, ultimately, for you to have long-term success as an advisor, right?
Yeah, for sure, and it's all about scalability too, right? And as you grow, you want your business to grow, but you want your solutions inside the portfolio not to be as cumbersome and convoluted to where you're spending all day tracking subscription docs and marrying that to the client's net worth, and if they have a liquidity event, what does that do, right? So it's a work in progress, of course, and then of course you have from a generational standpoint, right? Bank of America came out with a study that said the millennials and Gen Zs are investing 3 times as much in alternatives than their baby boomers, right? And when you start thinking about what does that mean from an advice standpoint, advisors are going to have to get on the game from an education standpoint in order to meet the needs of the now and the next generation of investors.
So get in the game, get working, get partnered with a firm like yours. Devon, thanks so much. This was some awesome insights. Great always talking to you, my friend.
Thanks so much for having me.
Excellent. For Edge TV, I'm Matt Ackerman. This is Devon Drew. Have a great day.